So, Mr. Wayne.
Yes.
My final question to you. Tell us about something cool you're currently working on.
This is the final question?
Yeah.
I thought it was like, tell us your opinion. That's an American. How is your country responsible?
No, this is your time for pure, unindulgent self-promotion.
There are 3 things I'm currently working on.
Okay, tell us
with
about
different levels of importance and public spotlight, may we say.
Okay, tell us about them.
I'll start from the lowest to the highest. The lowest is just a small ensemble piece for 6 musicians where I decided I'm going to generate all the pitches algorithmically. And it's only 16th notes at tempo 140. And it's only ascending or descending lines, or a bit of a combination of the two. So a very small exercise. And the musicians are very... they're not overjoyed to receive so many notes, but we'll see how it goes. Yeah, I'm interested in kind of algorithmic generation as well. I've been working in Super Collider, this C++ code-based programming environment. Eventually, I want to improve my skills so I can really take control of the XML format, music XML. There is some support for this in Super Collider, but it's very basic, and I have to go into the source code a bit to. So really
you're generating the code through Super Collider?
In Super Collider, there is a music XML object, which allows you to create a music XML file and populate that file with pitches, durations. This object doesn't have support for articulations, and the REST function is a bit broken.
Okay.
So I hope to be able to eventually improve upon that. But that's kind of like my small exercise in a more larger back burner project. Secondly, I'm working on kind of a more speculative project where I don't know when it's going to be performed, but I'm calling it a dream chamber.
Ooh.
And it has to do with some of the research I'm doing on nearness and proximity. So thinking about, okay, the artwork presents this imaginary world that we are kind of sucked into when we're totally absorbed in it.
Okay.
And this has some background in literary theory, in theater theory, also in game theory or virtual reality that describe that the way the artwork functions as absorbing you into it, or you becoming absorbed or immersed in it. And then the opposite of that, which for me, which is kind of like breaking the fourth wall, or kind of what is often translated from the work of Bertolt Brecht as the alienation effect or the Verfremdungseffekt, which creates this kind of distance where, the characters become super self-aware that they're characters in a play. They speak directly to the audience. The narrative becomes broken, or you're suddenly super aware of the situation you're in. So I wanted to kind of deal with going between these layers. So I'm creating this dream chamber, which on the one hand is kind of a mixed electronic instrumental piece. It's very immersive, using field recordings and kind of thinking of the music as very like scenographic. Like I want to create like a beach scene. But then like, some weird shit happens and there's an explosion, and then you have like this tinnitus in your ear, the ringing in your ear. And then it comes like this like underwater recording. And then, kind of thinking of very like pictorial scenes, but to create this kind of immersive effect that's a living, dynamic world that you're listening to. But at the same time, then choreograph some actions onto the audience member that will then pull them out of it. Like, I imagine they're laying down on kind of like a yoga mat or something, or like a mattress, and it's dark and the big speakers. There will be musicians playing live also, but very much blended with the electronics. So it's not so much about their live performance, but about the world they're creating. And then, a performer comes and like pulls you a bit, like 1 inch to the right or something. So it's like not really super provocative, but a bit like jerking you in one side where you can't help but be distracted.
Yeah, like reminding you that there's a world outside of the actual performance that you're experiencing.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So this layer of like breaking the fourth wall, which has to do with interaction, the situation surrounding you, versus this kind of artistic inside the medium of sound, this world that's created.
Yeah.
So this has become very interesting to me, that like you can kind of jump in between these layers. Speculative piece.
Yeah.
I'm just kind of working on it when I have time and developing it. And then third is I have a piece with Ensemble Recherche. I'm very lucky and thankful to have a part of their kind of like students do this thing project, where a couple of students from Basel, a couple of students from Freiburg create pieces on the theme of the archive.
Okay.
Yeah, the idea is, okay, they want to re-perform the archive, so taking pieces from the Ensemble Recherche archive or the experimental studio of the SWR, the Southwest German radio station. So taking also from the archive of the SWR, Southwest German radio. So famous pieces that they've worked on in the past. And the list is quite big. It's like Brian Ferneyhough, Time and Motion Study number 2, or Griset, Vortex Temporum, or Stockhausen Mantra. It's like very, very famous pieces for the new music world.
Yeah.
And they want students to then reinterpret them for today. There's a bit of like a hidden agenda that they want to like look at it a bit in the legacy of like post-colonialism. How are these institutions different now that we have this kind of attitude of like the West is no longer the center of the world for Europeans. It's a bit silly, but it's also okay. It's a good challenge, and it's also an important question. How can we really deal with this legacy of colonialism while being new music composers? Yeah, and a bit like, okay, in some indirect way, or maybe not so indirect way, even the most abstract music of that time was profiting from the wealth of nations that came from colonialism. Okay, it's connected somehow. So I'm working with a Luigi Nono piece, Das atmende Klarsein, which in English translates to the breathing clarity, which he wrote with this Italian philosopher, Massimo Cacciari, who wrote the text. But the piece is a very interesting spatial concept, that it's choir and bass flute, and there's microphones, and it's projected all around the hall, like 6-channel projection. And it has some very utopic idea of like wandering and searching for this utopic space, that after the storm, there's this clarity where you can kind of remember things. And it has like texts from ancient Greek tombstone inscriptions. It's a bit mystical, but it has this kind of like utopic idea, which I connect with Nono's personal political goals. He's a very, very staunch communist leftist in the 60s, with this piece, for example, Intoleranza 1960, which is, it's literally like, communist revolution now! Orchestra plays like super atonal music. So I chose that because of the spatial concept. Yeah. I'm interested in the social spaces of the concert hall. But my twist is I'm going to build a 3D world in Unity, this game engine, and try to create some of the images from the poem of the piece inside Unity, and then have a live stream camera on the musicians and on some interactive things and stream it into the game world. Wow. So it's this idea of interaction where the audience is a bit provoked to do something, which is this kind of idea of passivity versus activity in social situations. But it's all viewed through this utopic virtual world. So I'm still quite early in the process, but I love designing a world in Unity. Yeah, I spent many hours last week designing weather effects. The opening line of the poem and the first text that's sung in the piece is Nach spätem Gewitter, which is after thunder at night, or after thunder late in the day or something. So I decided, okay, I'm going to interpret this very literally. I'm going to create some thunder weather effects in the game engine. Cool. And then synchronize that with some instrumental sounds. Yes. So that is what I'm currently working on artistically. I mean, for me, it's very important that my artistic work reflects my ideas about the world. And I think we have a lot of agreement points on our geopolitical analysis. I mean, maybe you're a bit better informed with some things, and you're a bit harsher towards the West than I tend to be, or I say. But I think for me, this idea of passive passivity in the media situation is very important.
Yeah.
So that's why in the past years I've worked on pieces that, through simple interactions, indirectly or directly, provoke people to make a decision.
Cool.
Yes.
Cool. A lot of exciting projects. I think in the link we'll put the most up-to-date place where you actually post these, like either your website or your Instagram profile, whatever.
Yes,
I
do have a website that I designed, so we can post that in the link.
Cool.
Yeah.
Cool. So these were my questions. Now you get to ask me the last question.
The final question. It's the final question.